Hello, hello. Um, Hope you're all doing well, as always. It's been a little while since the last video. Life's been very, very busy, as I'm sure it has for many of us. Lots of changes and so on, and yeah, and we've bought kayaks as a family, and so that's kept us busy, and also various house renovations and so on. So lots of 3D kind of things going on. Right, now I wanted to say straight off the bat that please do subscribe to the YouTube channel, and this is because oftentimes if there is new content that comes through, it's a little bit hit and miss. Whether you will be notified via the various social media and so on channels that I put them out on. It just depends whether it comes up in your feed or not. So if you subscribe to the YouTube channel and turn on notifications, you will be always kept informed about when there is new content. So I would advise that. All right, so they wanted to, this has been coming through for a few days now, they wanted to do some light language or bring through some light language to reset our nervous systems. Now, I don't have a hugely well-operating sort of side of my brain that engages with scientific stuff. Let's put it that way. So arts and all of that sort of thing, yeah, fine. The science of things I find a little bit overwhelming, but I will give it my best as to what they have brought through. So they were talking about how light language works, and not just light language, but all forms of light energy, photonic energy that is coming onto the planet. Okay. So they said, everything is conscious, including ourselves, and therefore is affected by environmental and social templates. Programming, whether that's ancestral or other lives coming through, energy from other lives, or societal programming, our beliefs and experiences, and of course thoughts, words, actions, both our own and those of others. All of those are energies and that play out, and our cellular structure is aware of those as they are conscious. So they talked about how DNA up until very recently has stayed sort of cropped, was the word that they'd used, and much of it has been unused. The parts related to our multidimensionality and our expanded awareness of the oneness consciousness, and our connection to our soul and source energy. I said also there have been templates and energies from programs on the planet that have kept us vibrating at a lower energy and lower frequencies, and kind of not made it easy for those higher frequencies to come in. However, as we do our shadow work and we raise our vibration, these higher frequencies can enter, and that is the period in which we're living now. Many of us are going through that process very, very rapidly, okay, which relates to why they wanted to do some work with us around our nervous system. Right, so they said, as we raise our vibration, we are literally able to raise our consciousness within our cellular structure and reactivate the DNA designed to maintain that connection to soul and source and a multidimensionality. Okay. So they then went into a little bit about the electromagnetic processes within our body. So they said this space around the nucleus within a cell is that space within electrons orbit the nucleus. Okay, within the nucleus, an atom's nucleus are protons and neutrons. Okay, and they literally showed me an infinity symbol like this, with electrons on one side and neutrons on one side and protons on the other. Okay, so ideally, if we are in unity, then that ellipsis, okay, and that balance of protons and neutrons is perfectly aligned, okay, in absolute balance. However, when it is out of balance, the ellipsis shifts, so it may be smaller on one side than it is on the other. And in spiritual terms, we talk about this as feminine and masculine energies. Okay. So they said, you know, DNA is made up of atoms, and DNA is a molecule made of atoms. DNA is also contained within the nucleus of a cell. At this point, they said, don't confuse cell nuclei with atom nuclei. They both have one. So the cell, yes, has a nucleus. Most DNA is made up of atoms and sits within the cell's nucleus. Okay. There is also mitochondrial, which is a very small amount of DNA that sits within the cell but outside the nucleus, but most is inside the nucleus, and it converts food energy into a form that cells can use. That's the purpose of the mitochondrial DNA. However, we're concerned with what is within the nucleus of the cell. So they said, many understand that the laws of quantum mechanics describe how electrons can move from one orbit of the nucleus to another, thereby changing the energy level. And different orbits have different energies. Each orbit is a loop of electric current and creates a magnetic field. And together, electrons within the cell determine the magnetic field of the atom. So change the orbit or the energy level of the electrons and change the magnetic field or the charge of the protons and neutrons. Okay, the negative, positive charge of protons and neutrons within that cell. And as DNA is made up of atoms, it thus changes the DNA. Okay. So they said electrons are affected by one another, and electrons outside the atom, i.e. electrons in other atoms, can absorb photonic energy. Okay, so the higher the electron's orbit, the more energy, photonic energy it is able to absorb and maintain, because electrons are both emitting photonic energy and absorbing it. But the higher the orbit or the frequency of those electrons, the more photonic energy it is able to retain. Okay, good. Hope you're all still with me. You can imagine me receiving this information. I was like, sorry, can we go again? So, here we are. Right, so, right, so they said basically change the molecular structure of the DNA and you change how much photonic light is absorbed. Because higher frequency orbits of electrons absorb more photons and retain that, we call this, in spiritual terms, raising our frequency. Okay, and that's why they often say that light language it works on a cellular level, okay, on a molecular level, and literally changes and activates our DNA. Good. Okay. And they said, in fact, there are experiments that you can look up, and I haven't actually, but if you do, please do let me know. They said there have been experiments to show that DNA can indeed be activated by light and radio waves, and thus change the vibration and frequency of the body from within. Good. Now, on a practical sort of everyday level, okay, there's a lot going on, isn't there? Clearly there is a lot going on. And they said it's not just the various ways and modalities through which we are bringing in divine light, okay, so various healing practices, and indeed modalities such as light language that are affecting this process within our bodies. But also, as many of us are aware, there is a lot more photonic energy, light energy, coming through from the sun, okay, solar flares and so on, all right? Also, there is a lot of high frequency electromagnetic energy that is coming up from the planet, okay, as she raises her vibration into our bodies. And all of this means that our bodies are working extremely hard, okay, and they're doing a fantastic job. So our nervous system is designed to carry information around our body to every cell of our body. So you can imagine that the information that it's carrying, the volume and changes in information that it's receiving and interpreting for our body is quite a big deal. And thus they wanted to give us a little bit of a hand, specifically with our nervous system within us, to handle these changes, okay, and to interpret this information smoothly, right? It's what happens when our nervous system gets out of balance, and many of us, I'm sure, have been experiencing this and are experiencing this as we live through this time. When our nervous system is under stress, we have, a feeling of sort of excitement, literally a lot of energy coursing through us. It can affect our sleep. So at first we may be unable to sleep, and then we may go through periods where, as a result of that, we are extremely tired, okay? Also, as our brain is interpreting all of this information and understanding all of this new stuff that's going on, we can experience brain fog, where it prioritizes information. So it can affect our memory, while parts of our brains function step back, if you like, and it prioritizes other things that are going on. This in turn, of course, can affect our overall health. So the health of our muscles, okay, in particular. So we may experience aches and pains and so on. Also, our digestive system as well. Very, very linked to our brain and what's going on here. So, they call it our second brain, don't they? So often our digestive system can be affected. So so all of this that you may be experiencing, they want to give us a little bit of a helping hand with. Good. I'm just going to ask if there's anything else they want to say. Yeah, they just want to say how well everybody's doing. There is a tendency sometimes to view these as negative things. So we would like to help you adjust your interpretation of these things and be encouraged by them Also to have patience with one another. Yes, and be supportive of one another as you go through these things together as a collective, but also in reality as individuals. And thus you have an individual response. So be compassionate to one another. Lovely. All right. So I'll sit back and I'll bring through the codes. All right, lovely. You don't need to do anything. You can just relax. Please set your intention now, quietly, that you would like to receive the codes, if you indeed you would like to do so. And yeah, and of course you can, as you know, watch these as many times as you like. They'll always find the right place for you where you are at energetically at that moment. Good. All right. Ki a o iena sa la se a ina iena so o iena ki a ana sa o to o iena la se a ki a she ino so o iara iena a se ki ana a sha ki a o no yo la se ma a iena a se ki a ena ese a ya sho o iena ina sa a sha ana a ka ona a sa ina a sa ina sa ayara aya kia a no uyu uya ana kia sa sa ina sa isa ono ina sa ana akaya inia sa ono so yala ni sikia ni tiesiti is in is ela se que ana shio suyo no lo ya se ela se que ana shiara e que ana stiento yoro ya suyo no suyo e que ela se que entriasti toriuzo in que entriasti se in que entriasti entrio su tuyo no suyo shiatira in que asi entriasti ela se que triasta entriasti entrio tuyo torientira Enti, kiesi entriasta, entriala secatriasti entria, e che antostuiu turiustu entria, e che entriasti entriaci atesti atia triesta, in che triesti entruiu turiu, in che triesti entriasta, e riaria che testi entra. Lovely. Yeah, lovely. So we had Palladian come through, and Blue Avian, which very often, they often work with unity consciousness. So, that balance of feminine and masculine energies. Yeah. So no surprise to see them here today. And then Sirium. Lovely. Okay. Well, you know where I am. You can email me. You can follow me on various places. Facebook or TikTok or Instagram. But as I said, I would recommend subscribing to the YouTube channel, just because everything else is a little bit hit and miss. Okay, lots of love. Take care. See you soon.